Oh, by the way, we're recording this too. So, well, Facebook records it. So you're getting recorded every way you can record it.
Yeah, this is awesome. You're live, my friend.
Right.
I know. It says live on Facebook. At least that's what my indication is. That's not always an indication that we are live, but don't swear, right? Don't be dropping the F-bomb there, Todd. Come on. Cut it out. I know. I've known Mike Ewing for like 10 years. Never heard him swear, right? I could roll over his foot in a Volkswagen, right? He wouldn't like.
Well, I'm a Southern gentleman, Dan. You know, we have to be proper with our language.
Where are you from, Mike, originally?
Well, I was born in Louisiana. I moved to Georgia when I was young. So I grew up in a little town called Peachtree City, Georgia.
Nice.
Fun fact about Peachtree City. There's not a single peach tree in all Peachtree City.
They need to change it to Maple Tree City, right? I'm actually a pretty good namer. By the way, my name is Dan Tyre. This is the Inbound Organization monthly Facebook Live. We got a special guest. Am I going to tease Mike or I'm going to tease Mike? I'm not quite sure where the emphasis should be, right?
Well, we tease all of our guests. So we try at least.
I know. We've had some amazing guests this year. Todd, you have done a great job of getting Jill Conrath, right?
David Meerman
Scott. Oh my goodness. And then we talked like for the whole time on rock and roll, right? And then amazing. That was an amazing session. And
Donitza from Politico.
Unbelievable. All these like luminaries in the inbound revolution, right? Surfacing on Facebook Live is an effort to explain what inbound is, explain what the inbound organization works. And we've said multiple times, oh, by the way, for our audience, we're going to get started in 2 minutes, right? We believe in calendar integrity, right? But usually we get a few listeners when they're notified in the first 2 minutes. So in appreciation of that. Right. In 2021, right, the inbound organization has never been more essential, never been more vital. I was on a meeting today and we were talking about employee burnout, employees not going back to work, right? Just like stopping because it's so hard, right? Trying to recruit in 2021. And all of that has attributes for the foundation of being a mission-driven organization that inbound can help you build and help you thrive, right? So if anybody is interested, you can buy the book at inboundorganization.com or get it on Amazon. We'll put the links at the bottom, right? It's a great foundation, right? And it's a great way to understand why this is so such an essential movement. In July, I'm doing 3 presentations on Welcome to the Inbound Revolution. Right. And it's a little bit different in 2021 than it was even in 2020 and the years before. So super excited about those presentations.
I was just reading that I think it was April, a record number of people quit their jobs.
Yeah. Or didn't go back. Right. They just stopped. Right. And you can kind of understand that, Todd. Right. Right. We're coming out. Maybe you can't because you're such a stoic.
We've been working from home for 12 plus years. So it's kind of like the way we do it. So, but for a lot of people, I don't think it was just the work from home thing. Anecdotally, I can tell you, it's just people just said, I just don't want to do that job anymore. Or I don't want to work for that boss anymore. I don't want to work for that company anymore. I just went through a pandemic. I'm not putting up with it. I'm going to go find somewhere better to work or start my own thing. There's been very high numbers of new business starts in the last few months. So people are just deciding, I don't have to work at the factory anymore, whether the proverbial factory. I'm going to go do what I want to do.
I did not know that. If you have attribution for the starts of, that's usually a huge leading indicator, economic indicator for growth, right? Anytime there's a disruptions and things. The co-founder of Warby Parker is famous for saying everybody's an entrepreneur. And I always thought, damn, I wish I said that. But I have to give him a shout out. It's right. Like everybody needs to acquire entrepreneur skills. And so that's one of the reasons why we invited my buddy, Mike Ewing. Oh, baby, a Southern gentleman, which I just learned. I never knew that, right? Onto our inbound organization, July Facebook Live.
I'm honored to be here, Dan. Thank you.
Awesome.
So, Mike, tell us kind of where you're at, what you're doing right now, and maybe a little bit more about who Mike Ewing is.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm in Dublin, Ireland, and currently Trying to travel the world a little bit with the lockdowns in place. They're slowly starting to be lifted, so looking forward to go traveling a bit more. Ireland's a beautiful country. If you ever have a chance to travel, or if you live in here yourself, how green, luscious, and friendly all the people here are.
The people are green, luscious, and friendly. Awesome.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. There's a lot of beer consumed here too, Todd.
No. I hear they like whiskey too.
Yeah, a little bit.
I think I would get along with the Irish.
Yeah, honestly, great people, but also and one of the reasons I came here was the technology scene. There's a lot of tech companies that have moved to Dublin, put their headquarters here, and it's created a very rich scene. Facebook and TikTok and Microsoft and Salesforce and HubSpot, the company that I'm at right now, all kind of headquarters here. Our EMEA headquarters are here. With the EMEA headquarters has brought in a lot of diversity, which is actually pretty amazing. There's people from Spain and Germany and Denmark and Norway and all over continental Europe have located here in Dublin to sell and service to customers. So yeah, it's a great place. If you ever get a chance to come visit Dublin. Look me up when you're here. Give me
definitely going to do that. A little different question than I think we were talking about. Has HubSpot had issues attracting talent in Dublin? I know you guys are growing your offices around the world, and this is a common issue I hear from our clients is finding and attracting and keeping the top talent. Has this been an issue for HubSpot?
Yeah, I think it's actually great. The companies here are all raising the bar for what it means to have a great employee experience. And the employee experience is something that HubSpot has put a tremendous amount of focus on. Not just before the pandemic, not just as the pandemic happened, but well before. We have a great chief people officer in Katie Burke who has really put an emphasis on and creating a great place. And now, yeah, there's a lot of talent in Dublin, but there's a lot of competition for it. And there's a lot of companies that are starting to ramp up their SaaS organizations. And one of the areas I see the most competition for talent right now is in customer success. A lot of companies they've been seeing especially a lot of technology SaaS companies have seen a lot of growth over the last 2 years and are saying like, all right, well, I got a lot of customers in the funnel. How do I keep them? How do I retain them? How do I help them grow? And so that's there's a lot of competition there in the space here in Dublin.
You said something that I think is amazing. You used the word employee experience, and we hear a lot about customer experience, but employee experience is a lot less frequently discussed. And I think we talk about this in the book. I think we were pretty far ahead of our time, Dan, when we were writing about the employee experience has to be analogous to the customer experience. Essentially, if you want to deliver a great customer experience, you better have a great employee experience, because they don't work if, essentially you can't make customers happy unless your employees are happy. Would you agree with that, Mike?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, your people are your company. Plain and simple. And you spend a lot of time at work. Everybody does. We all spend a lot of time at work. And if you're the type of person who's going to work and you're dreading getting out of bed in the morning and you're just not happy doing what you're doing, well, you're never going to give your best. You're never going to really thrive. And so I think this shift to the employee experience has really benefited HubSpot a lot. And I'm super excited to see the industry really shifting towards putting more attention to what makes a great employee experience.
So Mike, I loved getting to know you when we were writing the book and talking about customer success. You provided just a wealth of experience, and you're just a world-class expert at this topic.
I owe you that 20 later there, Todd.
No, that was unsolicited. You don't have to pay me for that. It's true. Talk to the audience a little bit about, or actually a lot about customer renewal and customer retention, and kind of how that's working today, maybe how things have changed since pandemic, some opportunities there. Let's just big, broad question for you. Let's just dive in.
All right. Well, to set the scene, give you a little bit of context, give you a backstory here, where customer success really fits in. I want to tell you about a story of a place in LA, a hotel in LA called the Magic Castle. Now, the Magic Castle is a 2-story like condominium looking hotel. It has a hot tub. This has a pool. Sorry, has a pool the size of a hot tub. Like it's not like you wouldn't look up like best looking hotels. This would fall very low on the list. But if you look up best rated hotels in LA, the Magic Castle Hotel is actually one of the highest rated hotels in LA, above a lot of the other premier hotels. And you look at the outside, like, how do they do that? Like, why is this place rated so well? Well, the Magic Castle Hotel happens to focus on what they call magic moments. One of the magic moments that they have is something called a popsicle hotline. So you're sitting around the pool. It's hot. It's hot in LA. And you're craving a popsicle. Well, they have this big cherry red phone on the wall next to the pool. And you go pick up the phone and somebody immediately answers, says, "Hello, popsicle hotline. How can I help you?" And you can say, "Well, I would like a popsicle." They say, "Well, what flavor would you like? Would you like cherry, grape, orange?" She said, "Well, I don't know. Any of them." And so within moments, somebody would be walking out with white gloves, a silver tray with a selection of popsicles, all free of charge. And that sort of experience is something that people remember. They remember that experience over like how small the little pool was. It's that attention to customer experience and the attention to detail is what makes the Magic Castle so great.
That's such a great example, right? Because it's kind of stark, right? And you're essentially turning a liability into a benefit based on customer experience, right? Awesome.
That's totally it. And as SaaS businesses or just businesses of any type, you have magic moments with your prospects, to your customers, to your renewals. The first time that a prospect hears about your brand through Google search or Facebook, social media or whatever, it's the first time they hear about your company. That's a moment. That's something that they're going to remember. The first time that they talk to a representative from your company, whether it be a sales development rep or a business development rep or an account executive, the first interaction that they have with your company, that's a magic moment. When they actually buy from your company, they decide to make a purchase. That's a moment that they remember. The first time they use the product, that's another big first impression. Well, the first time they receive value from the products, that's another big magic moment. And the moment that I want to really talk about here today is one that's really critical at the end, and that's that renewal moment for SaaS companies. The customer makes that decision to say, "I'm going to repurchase your product because it's delivered me so much value." So getting those magic moments right, and first identifying what they are, what are they for your business, and putting a lot of attention to detail to getting those moments to be wow factors for your customers is important, and something that I kind of want to set the scene today. Talk about customer success and renewals.
I always love this about customer success, that it's this proactive nature of it, that you're thinking through the experience, you're thinking through the steps, and you're planning what's going to happen at certain times, right? And again, we know if you're starting up a piece of software, you're starting up a piece of equipment, or you're starting with the service provider, it doesn't matter who it is, there's going to be an onboarding process, there's going to be a startup process, and there's always roadblocks, there's hiccups that can happen. And I'm always shocked when I see companies that just seem like this is the first time that's ever happened, or they've never thought about it, or they don't have a planned reaction. Again, we wrote about this in the book, that the studies show that human beings know things are going to go wrong. And how you handle that first issue or first problem is a magic moment. And you can actually build customer loyalty and extend your relationship for a longer time, higher lifetime value, if you handle that issue correctly and in a way that's unexpected, right? Yep. Because now people realize, hey, when something goes wrong, that's how they're going to treat me. So that they actually, you build loyalty even when you had an issue.
Yeah, you build trust 100% that way.
Yeah, it's not always been like that. Right, Todd, you and I have been involved in initiatives previously where once you sold it, you walked away, right? There was never there was very little attention, time, and effort given to how to make the customer successful. But today, it's table stakes, right?
Mhm.
It used to be for your third employee at a startup, you got a salesperson. Right now, your third employee after the two co-founders needs to be a customer success person. Would you agree with that, Mike?
Well, it depends on the company. There's a lot of factors there. You need to get business in the door, like that. That's 100% right. You need to have business. So when the customer success person comes in, yeah, it should be early. I would say to think about having them as part of your executive team very early on to start to build out that sort of customer experience that you need to have to be successful.
Nice, cool. All right, so you're chapter 25. Right? And you have global experience, right? And you've explained a little bit about why we approach it the way we do. What if you're brand new and you're trying to like start a customer success process? How do you start it?
Yeah. Well, so it's a big world in customer success, and I think there's a lot you can unpack, and it can be quite daunting if you kind of look at the mountain and just want to get to the top. It's a journey. It's a journey to really implement a great customer success team. So I think that's the kind of the first thing I want to say is just put that philosophy out there. Is you're going to work hard to solve for your customers and putting that customer experience first and you won't have a finished product in a week, a month, a year, years. You'll constantly be iterating on what is success and how can you be better at it.
I love when you led. I'm sorry if I jumped in on you.
No, go ahead.
I love that you led with the philosophy and mindset. It's a way of thinking, right? If you don't have the thinking correct, and I find that startups and younger businesses are really kind of start with that attitude for the most part. Where I struggle is like existing businesses that have been around a while and they're more used to the customer service model as opposed to success, right? It can be a more difficult transition, I think, to get there. But I love that you're talking about that it's really a mindset first.
Yeah, absolutely. You gotta first step with the vision, and that's have that philosophy and mindset. So next, that I like to think about it and just kind of structure it into reactive and proactive. Again, more of a general philosophy, I guess, of like how there's two big buckets there. So reactive, I think, is the traditional model. That's the customer service model. You have a support team. You man the phones. Now you have chat widgets. You monitor social media. That those are important functions of a business, and not discrediting that at all. They are super hard jobs, and they are very core and essential to a business. Where customer success really comes in is being more proactive with your customer base and kind of mapping out what the ideal customer journey looks like from that moment that they ink the paper to sign, or how they ink the DocuSign to get the contract in, to sign up with your business. Every moment after that, what does that look like, and how can we craft that to be to enable our customers to be successful and ultimately to make it their customers successful. And that's the real function of customer success, is what I see it.
Cool. How important is technology in a customer service, customer success program?
Well, there's three big layers to it, and this can apply to just about any department. It's people, process, systems. So when you ask like how important is technology, yeah, it's uber important. You want to have, I know we'll get this later when we talk about revenue operations. If you're a newer company that's starting off, you're actually in a great advantage having a kind of clean slate with your technology systems. You really want to have a unified platform that your sales, your marketing, and your services team can communicate through. Because like we've just talked about, those magic moments, well, the prospect that just became a customer, well, if the customer success team doesn't have the information of what what did the customer first see? What were they most interested in? How did they come into the business? What did they discuss with the sales rep? Like why did they buy? If they don't have that information, that context, well, now your onboarding experience may not be as ideal as you want. So, getting your technology right to communicate with all three teams early on is super. Because it can be something that you're going to want to do later on in your company, and it could be quite painful to make all the systems talk to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
go ahead, Todd.
I'm just going to say that's the centralized view of the customer. We've never talked over each other. That never happened. Yeah, that's the centralized view of the customer, right? Where everybody's working off the same information, and everybody can see the context, the history, and all the understanding, all the value you've delivered, and the expectations for a particular client.
Although we didn't talk about that in the briefing meeting, that handoff is critically important, right? And Mike, like we were joking when we started HubSpot, we closed all these deals, and then we just throw them over the wall. We're like, all right, deal with it, Mike. And Mike is like, wait a second, no one told me about this guy. And you'd show up to the first meeting, and people were like, did Tyre tell you about the way we need to implement this in the next 4 days?
And I had to riff. I had to be like, oh yeah, Dan. Oh yeah, he talked to you about tractors in Nevada. Oh yeah. I remember that. Oh, that's crazy.
So talk a little bit about that onboarding process, because Todd, you and I have talked about that a lot in the book, right? That smooth transition that's essentially and very important in 2021, right? Moving from like it used to be you closed a deal, right? And then you started now it has to be like this smooth process where you won't get off to a good start unless you can reference all the things that happened during the sales process.
Yeah, it's a team game, and that's what I'm going to start having to talk. I'll start to have a theme throughout the rest of the conversation today. As a salesperson that has just sold this deal, you obviously want to make sure that first impression is going to be really good. That you get that magic moment right. So you want to make sure you're collaborating with you have the right technology, or if you're small enough to have the one-on-one communications with the success team to deliver that. But you don't just toss it over the wall and forget about it, because you think the long game. Think the long game. The customer just got in. They saw they're going to see some success with your product. Well, especially if you have multiple products that you're selling, you should have some sort of growth path with your company. Well, you want those customers to grow with you, and you need to maintain and establish a relationship with those customers throughout their life cycle in order to enable that growth. Now, the renewal is one of those key moments where it's a buying opportunity, where a customer needs to make a decision of whether I'm going to renew with your product or not. So they have to make a decision, and oftentimes they're going to make a decision to completely leave, say, nope, I'm good. I didn't have a good experience. I'm going somewhere else. Or they're going to say, yeah, I don't like this company. They're delivering what I needed. And if you've had the right touch points, and if you've had the right, if you've been able to over deliver on the promise that you told them, they'll be willing to expand the usage with your product. So the renewal team, I manage a team of contract renewal managers. You might think, well, the renewal is successful because of the renewal contract team. Nope, not really. A renewal is successful because a customer has had a great experience from that onboarding point all the way through all the touch points to where they get to that renewal. They've already made a decision, when that renewal comes up. Now, there's some pricing, like we negotiate on prices, and we can help come up with the right deal for different monetary situations, and we can play with contract lengths and products, and we can do all that. We can negotiate in the contract, but really you're buying because the value that's been delivered, and it's a team game. That's where the customer success team, from onboarding to account management to the sales representative to the marketing that you're sending your customers, all the communications that you have, when those are all aligned and they're all clicking, they're all coordinated, well, that sets up a really healthy pipeline of good value that you're delivering to your customers. And when you don't do that, and when it's uncoordinated and the cracks show, that's when customers are like, well, I just told John from support that your form sucks. Like, and now you're trying to sell me advanced forms. Like you guys didn't talk, and those create pretty terrible experiences.
Yeah, and you are talking from experience, right? Because you and I have both been through that situation where without the proper central view of the customer, that just happens all the time, right? And it's excruciating for everybody involved. The customer's like, what? And I think that over the last couple of years, customer expectations are sky high, right? Everybody expects to know like who Todd is, even if it's the first time they talk to him, right? And if they've been talking to me for a period of time, either several meetings or days, weeks, or months, right? There is an expectation in 2021 that there should be a relevant review of that information so that you're informed, so that you're not wasting time, so that you can get to the real meat of the issue.
Like you said at one point, you said pull your customers to renewal, don't push them with contracts.
Yeah.
What do you mean by pulling your customers to renewal?
Yeah, I love that. I'm glad you brought that up, Todd. It's the whole concept, and you got the inbound organization. And a lot of people have heard of inbound marketing and inbound sales. Well, I think there is this concept of inbound renewals, because it's all about creating that great customer experience and getting scientific about it. Honestly, like understanding where those customer through the customer journey map that you can create per segment. It depends on how big your business is, per region, per segment, per product line. Understanding the nuances that exist within those, and over delivering on the value of the product and of the experience that the customers have with that product and with your service. That's pulling people to your renewal. It's not pushing people with contracts, where if the renewal comes up and you say, well, look, you have 14 days until your contract is set to renew, and if you don't renew, then you don't have a CRM platform, or you don't have a marketing platform, and your business is going to be screwed for the next 3 months. Nobody wants to do that. You don't want to force people into using your product because they have no better alternative. Like you don't want to do that. So you want to pull people in to where when they get that first renewal notification, that they're like, oh, great. This is my time to think about how can I expand my usage.
Gotcha. And you don't wait till the last minute to say, oh, by the way, or like some SaaS companies, I just went through this with a client where they there was no notification. It was like somewhere a year or two ago, they clicked a button that says they would auto renew, right? And there's no, and then it's almost like, oh, by the way, we just charged you again, and we don't ever offer refunds, right? It's almost like tricking people or hoping you forget that renewal is coming up and then charging you.
Totally. And when HubSpot first implemented the renewal program, to be very transparent with everybody here, there was a big concern that we were going to be notifying people that were just on auto renew, and we were going to have a big churn in our bucket, because now we're notifying people who actually don't want the service. And it was a big topic of conversation. And I'm glad the prevailing voice won of reason, and being like, what do you mean? Like, no, we have to take if people want to cancel, they want to cancel. Like, we shouldn't just be charging people because it's better for our bottom line. Like, I know that's tough as a business, but to shed that out, it is healthy. I firmly believe that that's healthy, because those people who continuously pay you and they don't realize it, but when they finally do realize it, they're either going to, one, demand that their money back, or they're just going to be pissed off about you as a company and talk negatively about you to everybody that they can.
That's a really good point. I'm glad you just said that last piece, because it's not only lifetime revenue, it's not only upsell revenue with existing clients. Today, more than ever, your clients and customers should be your best marketers. They should be your best advocates. They should be referring, doing reviews, ratings. So you should be telling people about you. And if they have a bad renewal process, right, it can go the opposite, right? You can not only cost yourself one client, but you can, and again, some people are people that get angry about a customer and will tell everybody. Other people just will do it face to face or anecdotally. But at the end of the day, you can't afford to have your best, who should be your best marketers out there, saying negative things about you.
Totally. And it was tricky. Like I speaking from experience here at HubSpot. Now we've had a renewals program. I helped to build a lot of the system automation, a lot of the processes and the systems for the renewals in the beginning. And now we're 5 or 6 years into it. Evolved a lot, and we had a lot of failures. Learned a lot from them, and we've had a lot of big successes. We've really been able to help our customers, but we're not perfect. We're definitely not completely there yet, and one of the tricky things that I can speak to now is actually notifying customers, and how do you notify them, and when do you notify them, and should you notify everybody?
Share some information there. Share some information there. How do you do it? What's the cadence? How often does it go?
So it can be a little complicated. Like I said, let me give you the high level first. From a very broad stroke, what I would recommend is in your CRM, you would want to notify the internal people through a deal creation 120 days before a customer's renewal. So 4 months before a customer's renewal, you should have some people looking at that customer. For us, we have renewal managers, and the deal is assigned to renewal manager. Now, the renewal manager is going to immediately start to collaborate with the account manager and with the sales rep. And we want to hear from the account manager, CSM, say, hey, what's the deal? Like, what have you guys been talking about? Like, I can see your notes, but have you had any like recent conversations to be aware of? Have you talked about platform expansion? And the same thing to the sales rep. When's the last time you've been in touch? What did you guys talk about? Do you have any plans that you're talking about now? You want to make sure that everybody is coordinated as a baseline. You want to make sure everybody's coordinated. Now, as you get more advanced with that, you'd have automatic campaigns that you might be running. Like a deal might already be created in the sales rep, the renewal manager, and the customer success manager know from the customer's experience what sort of platform expansion you might want to be presenting to them. So get prepared. First step, get prepared 120 days out. 90 days out, 3 months out is when I would recommend to send the first notification. For HubSpot, we have 2 different types of primary renewals. We have one that we call recurring contract change. And that starts when you have let's say you buy a software, you get 20% discount for your first year. Pretty common. You get a starting fee. So because there's time to ramp, that you're not getting the full value of the platform, so you get a 20% discount. Or 5, whatever it is, you get a discount. If that goes away in your second year, goes back to 0. So that would be a recurring contract change. Now, these would be the types of customers in the renewals team that we would have the highest priority for, because we want to make sure that they are aware of this change that's coming up to their contract. We want to prevent the situation where somebody's surprised that their bill suddenly, is accelerating. So we want to make sure we're in front of those. So we'll send 3 messages to those customers. We send one email at 90 days. We send a second one at, I believe, 45 days to the renewal, and then another one 30 days to the renewal. So we make sure that they get 3 notifications. For a no change renewal, and this is where a customer has does not have any discount in their first year or second year. So they're on no change. There's no change to their contracts. Well, we don't want to over notify these customers. We basically send them one email 90 days before, and then we send them a second notification to get 30 days. So they get 2 notifications. And then there's a whole nother subset of the customers. This is where it does get complicated, that are on different billing frequencies. So a customer, like especially in our lower tier product packages, are on, say, monthly billing. They're on a monthly contract, monthly billing. Well, if we were to send them a renewal notice for every time there's technically a renewal, well, that would be every single month. We would be sending them a renewal notice saying, "Hey, your product's coming up for renewal," and you just constantly be hearing about your renewal. So instead, for that, we use in-app notifications to have a big banner that just lets people know that, hey, you're for quarterly or monthly payments, that here's where you go to manage your billing.
So as you're coming up to that renewal, are you looking at success? So talk about as you're coming to that renewal. I mean, you're looking at opportunities to propose different features or different options. How do you look at that client and say they're successful, or they're not successful, or they can be more successful? How do you looking at that as you come into the renewal?
Yeah, so something I actually write about in the book, in chapter 25, is health checks. So health checks is something that we implemented with the launch of the contract management department. We had a renewals team manually write these health checks. Now, they're pretty common today in the SaaS world. There's lots of great companies that do customer success software, like Gainsight has some pretty good features, and HubSpot is developing some great features of their own. So customer health checks are essentially a measurement of the success that your customers are having. Now, you can take this from a quantitative and a qualitative perspective. For us, we looked at two factors in the quantitative side. First, on usage. So how often are they logging in? When haven't logged in a long period of time, or are they logging in all the time? Do they have multiple users that are logging in? Which apps are they using? And what constitutes usage of an app? Does one click to one of your product features constitute as using it, or is there a specific action that needs to be taken to constitute as usage? So we looked at usage data. In the second half of quantitative, I would say it's outcome data. So whatever it is that your customer gets from your solution, if you can measure that, that would be something I would highly recommend to put in quantitative. For HubSpot, it would be a number of emails sent, a number of contacts generated, number of website visits. So you can actually start to measure, not only is the customer using it, but are they seeing success from the platform? And you essentially can put scores against those quantitative features, and you can put weightings to them, because maybe a combination of apps is more highly valued than a usage of one app, or a customer not logging in for 30 days. Maybe that's really negative, so you give a negative score. And essentially you can create a formula that says your customer, based off this quantitative usage, scores at a 55 of whatever kind of scoring mechanism you put in. So you would have basically a red, amber, yellow, green bar that you have scores that fit into. So a 55 may be amber. It may be just right on the edge of red there, because it's not quite as healthy as you want. So it kind of depends on how you set up your scoring. But that health check is crucial, because it gives you visibility of your customer base on a regular basis of which customers should you prioritize your customer success team on. If they're really green and healthy, you may think, well, they're good, I'm not going to talk to them. No, you actually want to look a little bit closer, see they're really good and healthy. Well, what are they doing? How are they using the product? Can you help them do more? Can you help them be more successful? And if they're red, well, why? What happened? What happened there? Can you revive them? When somebody gets to red, you obviously want to try to prevent that as much as possible. That's why continuous monitoring of these health checks are important, and why we actually put in an amber color. instead of just being red, yellow, and green. Put in the amber to say, hey, these customers are on the verge of becoming red. The amber is where I'll be spending a lot of my time to say, okay, they're declining now, and why have they started to decline? Can I interject to bring them back to good usage of the product?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Let's shift a little bit and talk about RevOps, which is a newer kind of an idea. And we talked a lot about marketing, sales and marketing alignment. How is it kind of migrating or kind of evolving into RevOps?
Yeah, so RevOps is a hot topic, and I've loved to see this concept come up over the last couple of years. Um, so RevOps, revenue operations, is essentially the alignment of the go-to-market teams. So aligning your sales, marketing, and services teams together. And I see it as a people process and a systems process behind revenue operations. Um, as in the pure terms of revenue operations, you're really thinking about your systems, and it's a team that's dedicated to building and aligning those sales, marketing, and services functions to where they can communicate and collaborate and have this one view of the customer. And it's difficult, like, especially if companies that have existed and have tons of data and tons of technology that they're using. It's hard to merge all those together. So this team of RevOps is focused on revenue generation, and revenue generation works best when you have your go-to-market teams aligned together. What I said there, Todd, about the people side, I think is equally important. And just enabling a RevOps team can be successful, but you're going to run into a lot of issues because those teams can still work in silos. That's what I've observed anyway, is that if you have a sales operations team, a marketing operations team, and a services operations team, and they all have different leaders that have different objectives and they have different goals and they have different priorities, well, the systems get built to support those objectives, those priorities, and those goals. And when those aren't aligned, well, then your systems start to grow apart. So making sure that you have some sort of structure within your organization to bring the go-to-market functions aligned together, whether it be through one person as a chief customer officer or a committee of people across your go-to-market teams, is exceptionally important to make sure that you have one plan to enable the systems to really work well together.
Interesting. Do you any thoughts on how companies that may not have a RevOps team may make that transition? I mean, what are the kind of steps you would go to having this overall alignment where you might already you're existing with the silos? What are some thoughts on steps you can take to kind of break those down and move towards a RevOps framework?
Yeah. So again, it depends on the stage and size of your company. If you are, a 20 person, if you have 20 people in your company, I think it's actually fairly simple. You look at your team and how you guys are aligned today, and you need to make a decision to say, do I want to have, do we want to have these three people make and build their plans together? Where you have, VP of services or chief sales officer or services officer or marketing officer, whatever. Are you going to have them build together? Can they do that? And if so, like, start to build one plan together. Great. When you become larger, I say you're a 400 person company, those silos are much more stark. They totally exist, and it's hard to kind of break those apart. And what I've observed working with a variety of different companies, you really need to have shared targets, shared objectives, and shared executive vision. And so, making really thinking through and going on go on another journey, go on a journey to say, how can we really best solve for our customers? Well, we need to align our teams together, and we need to break down these silos. So how do I do it for my unique needs of the business is a conversation that you should have with your team together. it's not something that the CEO is just going to come in and say like, okay, we need a chief customer officer tomorrow. You may have a lot of opposition to that, be very daunting, very scary for the rest of the team. So bring those leaders along with you on this journey to decide that, hey, we really need to align our strategy, our targets, our goals together. And that'll be the first step.
So last kind of question, we're gonna have to wrap up here pretty quick, Mike. What are you working on? What's new? What's kind of the future? What's next in customer success, RevOps? Where do you think the world's going?
Well, so I'm on the customer success advisory board for a company called Impact. And I love Impact. I think that they're a super company. They just announced a big raise of companies valued at $1.5 billion. And they focus on the partnership economy. And this is where I see a lot of marketing transitioning to, with the limitation of Apple privacy that's coming along, and with Google not allowing tracking of cookies, marketers are having to switch the way that we've been doing advertising and not rely on tracking people. And instead, we have to build partnerships with influencers, with brands, with companies, and that's exciting. I feel like this is an exciting movement that's happening in real time, right in front of our eyes. So I'm working with that company right now, and I'm excited to see them continue to grow and be successful. And that's where I kind of my energy these days.
I love it. Dan, anything? Any other questions you want to ask?
No, I think what I'm seeing as I integrate or interact with lots of companies of different sizes, there's complete different awareness of how critical customer success is in the entire process. Right? We joke that in the old days, sales got all the glory, all the money, all the budget. Now it's really not just the new business development, but it's really the customer experience that really plays so well. And Mike, you're an expert on that. If people have questions, can they ping you? Is there a way?
Oh, absolutely. Okay. Yeah, LinkedIn's the best way. Sorry?
How do they get a hold of you? Can we just put your
put my LinkedIn profile on blast. Anybody, please feel free to connect with me, message me. I honestly meet with people regularly. Just if you send me a message, say, hey, I'd like to chat about X, Y, Z. We'll totally make it happen. And I'd love to be able to have a chat.
Awesome. Gotcha. We'll drop that in the comments. Mike, great talking to you as always. Love talking to you about what's going on with customer success. Appreciate you taking the time here to talk to our audience. Thank you again for being a great guest, and I'll see you in Ireland one of these days.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, guys.
All right, we need to sell some books too. If people want to buy the Inbound Organization, where do they go, Todd?
You've got a couple of options. You can go to inboundorganization.com. There's a buy now button. We'll sell you directly books in small quantities or big quantities, or you can buy it on Amazon. Just search Inbound Organization. You'll find it. And we'd be happy to sell you books.
Yeah. It's especially good in if you're new to understanding how to create that central view of the customer, create the alignment, get senior leadership to understand about inbound. It's a great step-by-step to do. There's an assessment that we have on our website that helps people understand where they're at, right? We'll help you develop your M-spot, right? Tyre and I, in addition, are at your service if you're grappling with becoming an inbound organization. That's what we do. That's what we like to do. It's a huge plus for being able to engage with your clients. And once again, thank you very much, Todd. Thank you very much, Mike. And we look forward to seeing you in August with another Inbound Organization Desk.
Yeah. Excellent. Buy the book. Just buy the book for chapter 25. That's all you really need. It goes straight to the health checks.
There you go. I love it. I love it. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, guys, for being a great host. Cheers. Talk to you guys later. Bye now.
Thanks.